Yields back. The gentlewoman from Michigan, Ms. Tlaib, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman. I'm so glad we're holding a hearing of this kind today, because too many of my colleagues don't fully understand how broken our so-called justice system is. As we all know, it incarcerates people at a higher rate than any other nation right now, and of course disproportionately targets our Black and brown neighbors. And there's also this heightened level of dehumanization that happens here. So I just want to personally thank you, Ms. Martin, for helping change that with your powerful voice. We know that many leave prison already thousands of dollars in debt, whether from convicted related costs, missed payments, prison charges, or child support. And often these debts leave individuals unable to obtain a quote driver's license. We talked about ID required to opening a bank account and so forth. Ms. Tranlangang, what kind of credit score does returning citizens have upon release, and do they typically have access to consumer credit?
So first, thank you for that question, Representative. One of the common barriers that we have seen from justice-involved individuals, in addition to the fact of their criminal record, is also the fact that they lack credit and that they have not been able to accumulate a good credit score during their time while incarcerated. And so we have. So this is something that is definitely a barrier with respect to housing. And I think one of the areas that we have been trying to push back on is the need to really conduct these type of screening requirements, especially after we've gone through a pandemic where people will have eviction records, will have different things on their tenant screening, but where the need for housing is especially important. And so that is a very significant barrier for people with records.
No, I appreciate it. Ms. Tranlangang, as a result, justice-involved individuals are 3 times as likely to use alternatives such as payday loans, check cashing services. I mean, has your organization looked at that impact of how that has led folks towards predatory lending?
So the Shriver Center itself has not, but I do at the Shriver Center lead our Legal Impact Network, where we have a network of state level law and policy organizations that have done a lot of really good work around payday lending. And so that is something I'm happy to get back to you on, Representative.
Yeah, I have a bill that reduces debt to be reported on your credit report from 7 years down to 4 years. And I really think that could be transformative for, everyone involved here, but especially around the country. We know that consumer credit report can determine a person's ability to own their home, get a job, even auto insurance in my state. In addition, prior to COVID-19 pandemic, formerly incarcerated persons faced a 27% unemployment rate in the US, nearly 5 times higher than the national unemployment rate. And Ms. Cook, I've admired your work and your leadership for a very long time, and I appreciate you being here. I mean, could you talk a little bit about, how poor credit can be used intentionally or unintentionally as a proxy for being formally, I call it proxy to discriminate, especially those that are formerly incarcerated. Can you talk a little bit about that, and has your organization taken a dive into really understanding that impact?
Absolutely, and thank you for that question. As I noted earlier, predatory lending and access to financial services are really difficult for people with records, right? They face a myriad of challenges when it comes to credit reporting, when it comes to background checks that lock them out of access to home ownership, being able to get mortgages, being able to have jobs or hold jobs because of these barriers. And so we have recommended that Congress look at these barriers, that look at the the Fair Credit Reporting Act and see what limitations exist, and look at revising those limitations and limiting any restrictions to people with records.
How can we reform our credit reporting system? Something you talked about, and I don't know if Marie or any others on the panel. I mean, one of the things that I've been looking at is obviously medical debt, just because 90% of the folks that file bankruptcy in our country is due to medical debt, and trying to prevent medically necessary debt from ever appearing on people's credit reports, again, which has been heavily used for all different areas, housing, so forth. But even University of Michigan did a study and showed how the use in credit credit scores being used actually in auto insurance and how that's kept people in the cycle of poverty because they're paying thousands and thousands of dollars, even if they don't have, DUIs on their record, but somebody has a better credit score with the DUI is actually paying less. It just doesn't make any sense. And so I don't know, Marie or others, if you can talk about any other bills. I mean, we've been working on the one that reduced it from 7 years to 4, which we think would be pretty transformative, and it's the compromise. But I would love to hear if anybody has any questions that the chair would allow. Thank you.
The gentlewoman yields back. The gentlewoman from Pennsylvania, Ms. Dean, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you,